Agents under 3 years in the business are adopting AI tools 2 times faster than those with over 10 years experience, according to Real Trends. Newer agents feel like, oh my gosh, well, I don't do it as well as those people who've been in the business for 10 years. But this is exactly why newer agents have the upper edge. Welcome back to Build Your Business with Brittany, the real estate agent training series where we turn hustle into closings and knowledge into confidence. I'm Brittany Handura, real estate agent, coach, and investor, and I'm here to make real estate easy for you. I want to help you build a business you love and a life you're proud of. Let's dive in and level up your real estate game starting now. Oh, you can use it for working with other agents or sharpening your sales skills. So you still can use it for working with other agents. You still can say, hey, let's pull up ChatGPT, see what they would say. Now let me use it as a script, but in front of you to do it together. All right, the prompt example is act as a seller who's interviewing multiple agents and doesn't want to sign an exclusive listing agreement. Let me respond and give feedback. So you can do this by talking to ChatGPT. I don't know how to do it on the other ones, but I'm sure you can do it. But if you go onto ChatGPT, you can see there's like a little microphone, and right next to it, there's some lines or something. If you hold down on that, you can have a conversation with them. And you can literally say, okay, let me respond and give feedback. So they're going to give you an objection. You're going to respond, and then they're going to give you feedback after that. So you're telling it exactly what you want to do and how you want this role play to go. And it's going to work with you, and you can talk to it. You don't just have to type into it. I like to talk to it because it feels, especially if I'm like driving or having more of a conversation, I want to be like, hey, here's what I'm thinking, blah, 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 and then it'll respond back. So this is a good one because especially newer agents are always afraid that they're going to be interviewing against multiple agents. And now, depending on your style, whether you say, no, you have to sign an exclusive agreement with me today before I walk out the door, or if you just leave it and you say, okay, well, I'll follow up with you again tomorrow after you interview all these agents, or whatever your style is, you want to handle those objections with your style. Because I know, like, you guys know me, I'm not like a pushy salesy person. I'm not one to say like, no, tell me why you are not using me. Well, what can I do to fix that? How can I change that? What can I do to make it so that you don't even talk to these other agents? That's not me. And so if ChatGPT is giving me objection handlers like that, I'm going to be like, that's not me. Use my voice, use my, like, understand who I am, and then give me objection handlings for that. Then I can role play that, I can practice that, and then I can move forward comfortably and confidently. And the confidence is what's most important. Pro tip, use this as part of team meetings or role play prep. So if you are if you're going into the office and having some team meetings, meet up with some people before that and say, hey, let's do some role playing. I have these cool prompts on ChatGPT that we can use. And let's just see how it goes. Let's have them give us feedback instead of having to give your friends feedback or your peers. And you can use this when you're doing like any kind of role play prep. So if you are going to a role play session, you can do this by practicing even for that. Because the more you practice, a lot of times people think when I practice, I'm going to get like too robotic. But the reality is, you want to practice until I heard this saying that's like, amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. And that's what you want to be. You want to be practicing until you can't get it wrong. Practicing to the point that you're putting your own spin and your own like voice into it. So it doesn't sound like you're reading off of a script. That's what everybody's so opposed to. I don't want to sound scripty. I get that. I don't want to sound like that either. And so you want to practice enough so that you don't sound scripty. Genius AI hack number 6, a client education translator. This is really good because some of us talk in like the legalese. We review contracts so often, we read through the contracts that sometimes we forget that clients don't do this every day. They don't know what a CMA is. They don't know what an RLA or an RPA is. And yet we talk about this like, you know, it's of course, this is what we talk about every day. So we all know what this is. But think back to when you were a brand new agent, you didn't know what a CMA was. You didn't know what any of this stuff was. So you want to put it into words that your clients understand. So you use it for turning complex concepts into client-friendly language. Maybe they're talking about, like, you want to explain to them a 1031 exchange. Maybe you can say, like, hey, help me explain this to a client, or help me understand what this is in layman's terms, basically. You can put that into ChatGPT and it'll help you with that. So turning those complex concepts into client-friendly language, or even beginner-friendly language if this is for you. The prompt example: explain dual agency in plain language to a first-time home buyer. Keep it friendly and easy to understand. Another good one would be, help me explain the new rules surrounding this NAR settlement. Because, we live and breathe this. We hear about it all the time. We go to our team meetings and we hear all about this NAR settlement. The reality is most of our clients have no idea what it is or what it's about. And we need to explain it to them, because we don't want somebody else saying, oh, well, did you hear about this? You don't have to pay for the buyers. You don't have to pay for the buyer side anymore. So if your agent is telling you that, yes, you have to pay, and you as the agent haven't explained it, then they're going to question you. They're going to say, did you forget? Did you not know? What is it? So you want to make sure that you're explaining it for people, but you want to do it in a way that they can understand. And so that would be a really good prompt to put in here. Explain the dual agency in easy to understand and friendly language, or not dual agency, the NAR settlement, and do it in a way that is easy to understand and help me explain it to a seller, because the sellers are the ones who really need to hear about it. I mean, and your buyers. You could ask, help me explain it to a buyer and then also to a seller, because we need to be able to explain it to both, right? Like if we're talking to a buyer and we're saying, more than likely the seller is going to pay for this, and if they don't, here's what that means for you. You have to be able to explain it to them. The same thing for a seller. Most often the sellers are still paying for the buyer side, and here's why. Here's the value of it. Here's the benefit of doing that. We want to have full access to all of the buyers out there, including buyers with agents. And if we cut this off, a lot of those buyers are going to go away. So we need to make sure that we're helping our clients understand this, so that even if they walk away saying, yep, it makes sense to me, and then they go to their friend who says, oh, well, you don't have to pay for the buyer, right? They can say, no, I do. And they explained it to me in a way that made sense, but I don't really remember what it is. That's okay. As long as you explained it, you just want to make sure that you're explaining it in a way that they get. So this is a really good one, because for me, I can very easily, I talk fast and I talk in like big picture concepts, and I do these complex things every day. And so to me, I'm just like talking through it, and I have to remember that I have to talk to somebody who does a real estate transaction once every 10 years, maybe. So keep it friendly and in plain language. This is a really good one. Here's a bonus. Build your own buyer or seller FAQ booklet with 10 to 15 ChatGPT generated answers. This is a good one to be able to put on like Facebook or Instagram or whatever. If you said like, hey, get my ebook, get my downloadable FAQs for first-time home buyers, for sellers, for whatever, and say like, what are the questions that the buyers and sellers are asking these days? You should know some, maybe. And so you can say like, here are some questions that I've heard. Also put in some questions that might be helpful with answers. Now, the benefit to these kind of FAQ booklets are like when they have questions, the answer is going to be, here's how I and my team can help with this. So then somewhere in there, you can say next steps are call me at whatever your phone number is, or DM me, or schedule a showing, or schedule a consultation, or whatever the next step is. You can tell ChatGPT to help you with that too. But whatever your next step is, that's what you're wanting to make sure that you're including in that. All right, genius hack number 7, CMA summary explainer. Before we continue, I want to remind you that if you're looking for even more real estate resources like an open house roadmap or a social media content calendar, then click the freebie link below because I have all kinds of resources to make real estate easy for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's jump back in. So CMAs are one that I feel like, for me in particular, I do think that I get a little bit like too high level in these, and I try, and when I think that I try and like dumb it down, for lack of a better term, I feel like it gets muddled and it's kind of like confusing. So this, I think, is really helpful to say like, hey, can you help me create this CMA explainer? So use it for packaging your CMAs with a clear and readable summary. What is a CMA? And help them understand it. So the prompt is, summarize this CMA in 3 bullet points that a seller would understand and include a persuasive reason to price the home competitively. That's really good. Including the persuasive reason to price the home competitively. So what you're going to do is you're going to create your CMA and then you're going to upload it into ChatGPT. And so you're telling it, read this CMA. Tell me what you can get out of it. Give me your insights. Where should I price the home? And see if ChatGPT is like right, if they're around what you think. And then you can say, include a persuasive reason. So they're going to look and they're going to say, well, these other houses that were listed low, they sold in record time at a high price. They sold for $50,000 over asking. So it makes sense to start pricing your home competitively, as opposed to some of these others were priced higher and they just sat on the market. They've been on the market for 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. That's what ChatGPT can help explain, and you want it to do it in a way that makes sense to a seller. The veteran twist, add a market trend explainer with visuals, graphs, and screenshots. Now, I will say ChatGPT is, specifically ChatGPT, because this is the one that I use, they are definitely hit or miss with their visuals. So when I ask it to create something, even to give me like create something on Canva and give me a link, oftentimes I'll never see it. It'll never come to me. And then a lot of times I'll say, okay, we'll create this like AI version of whatever, myself or a picture or a photo or whatever. It will not do a good job. I'll be like, this looks completely fake. So they're better, I think, with graphs. Like if you said, just make me a graph and then you could pull a screenshot of it, that's better. Or you could say, help me create this graph. Those are things you can do, but it's a good idea to try it and see what happens. But this, I would say, like if ChatGPT starts not working with the visuals, don't even try it. Head over to Canva and start it yourself. Now, Canva, like everything is incorporating AI. Canva has AI in it. I would say Canva's AI is not as up to par as ChatGPT, like nowhere near. But it can give you a good place to start. So a lot of times I'll say, okay, use my branding, use my look and feel and whatever, and create a flyer, create whatever it is. And it'll do it, but I will have to tweak it a lot. I can't just say, okay, great, we have it, we're done. I have to tweak it a lot. And sometimes I can't even use it. So AI is here to stay and ever evolving. So keep using it, keep trying it, but some things are going to be amiss. Number 8, time management and task delegation coach. Now, this is one of the ways that you're going to get your productivity back. Use it for delegating non-income producing tasks. So this is where, like, if you had a team, you would be delegating this to your assistant. You would be saying, like, if you had a virtual assistant or something like that, you would be delegating this. And so instead, you're going to use AI to help you do it. So your prompt is, I'm a solo agent working with 2 listings and 3 buyers. Build a time-blocked schedule that includes prospecting, showing, admin, and content creation. So it can build you a time-blocked schedule, but then you have to stick to it. But there are also things that you can do where you can say, I have these 2 listings, I have these 3 buyers. This buyer is like, give it information about your buyer, this or your sellers. These are also reasons why you don't want to share it, because you're feeding it information about actual clients. But you can say, you know, like they're really interested in this type of home in this area. What is the best way, for me to generate more business in that area? Or what is the best way for me, help me create an I've got a buyer postcard or flyer or something like that I can go and do door dropping. When should I do that in my schedule? So you're having a conversation based on what you originally prompted and what it's feeding back to you. So you're able to really hone in on what specifically you want to do. Then your bonus prompt: what 5 things could I automate or outsource this week as a real estate agent? You could also give it here's what I do on a daily basis. What are things that I could automate and what are things that I could outsource? That is going to be huge. I recommend doing that and just seeing what it tells you. Because if you say, okay, I spend, an hour trying to figure out my social media, it's going to say, no, you can change that. And here's how. You can schedule posts. You can, I can help you automate your social media content. I can, whatever it tells you, whatever you're doing, you can say, I'm taking too long to do X. Help me automate it. Help me outsource it. What is it that I can do? This is huge. This one is really good because it is very helpful. When you tell it specifically, this is what I'm doing and I feel like I'm taking too long. How do I get better at this? How do I get faster at this? How can I automate this? It's going to help you with that. Number 9, we're getting close to the end, but remember we have a bonus for you at the end. Neighborhood turnover and seller targeting playbook. Okay, this is where we start talking about actually getting leads, actually making money. Farming smarter, use it for farming smarter, building hyperlocal lists, and creating relevant messaging for likely sellers. So if you are, if you specifically do a lot of farming, if you are targeting a geographic location or a housing community or anything like that, you can talk to it about, tell me about the neighborhood turnover in this area. Tell me about what is a good turnover. What is it that I should be aiming for? How is it that I should be creating my lists of people? If there's an area with high turnover, why are those people leaving? Because sometimes it's public record. So you can see, is it a lot of owner occupied? Is it meaning they live there? Or is it a lot of rentals? Is it investors who are selling? So now you can say, okay, I see that there are a lot of investors in this area. Create relevant messaging for likely sellers. So for instance, over in our area, Ventura County, there's one area that is being highly gentrified, in Ventura, up the avenue, lots and lots and lots of turnover. So who is it that is selling right now? It's going to be people who probably owned the property for a long time, probably rented it out, and now there are too many issues with it and they just want to be done with it. So they're probably going to be selling to investors and they're going to flip it. And then they are going to be the sellers. So now you can create that messaging for those sellers who want to offload their property because it's too much work. You need to get those investors in, and then you can say, hey, once you flip it, I can be your agent. So you can think about what are those areas and what are they doing and how can I be relevant in those areas? And ChatGPT can help you with that. So here's a sample prompt. Analyze this sales data from whatever your zip code and tell me which areas have the highest turnover rate and price appreciation. Explain why this might be happening and what types of sellers I should target. So again, it could be maybe it's an area with a lot of single family housing and those owners have lived there for 40 years and now maybe they're starting to move to assisted living. They need to move on in their life. Maybe there's just like that type of turnover. There's a lot of original housing. There's a lot of like, what is happening and how can I target those sellers best? And it's going to help you because it can also say like, hey, maybe you should target them with a postcard. Maybe you should target them with a letter. Maybe you should target them on Facebook. These are really good ways. Another thing that you can do is if it's not pulling the exact information that you want, you can go to your MLS, pull some reports, feed it into ChatGPT, and then say, okay, tell me what I need to know about this. Tell me the story of what's happening based on all of this data that I'm inputting. So it can be very robust for you. So hot tip, turnover over 8% equals high churn, which is ideal for farming. Now, a lot of times in my area, when it's over 8%, especially higher than 8%, a lot of times those are going to be like condos and townhouses. And if you're just getting started, that can be a really, really good way to target. I know so many people are like, target luxury, but that has a much lower turnover. Oftentimes you go into those areas and it's like 4% turnover. Higher turnover is going to be a better area to farm. Now, remember, I always tell you, pro tip, your best farm, your first farm should always be in your neighborhood. You should be able to walk the area, you should not have to get in your car and drive to it. So, and if you do drive to it, it should be within like a 5-minute drive. If you have to drive 20 minutes to get to a luxury area that you think you want to farm, that's too far. Because part of farming is that you want to be like that neighborhood expert. You want to be the person who they see walking their dog or walking their baby or whatever. You want to be the person that's like, oh, I know that person. Oh yeah, I've seen that person around. And then when they get your cards or they get your postcards or your door drops, they're going to be like, oh, I see this person everywhere. That is the ideal farm for you. So you want it to be close to where you are. Genius AI hack number 10, website and lead magnet content. So use it for landing pages, lead magnets, guides. This is one of those things where you can do like the downloadable things, kind of like a blog, but you're creating a guide first and then popping it onto your website. So the prompt example, write a compelling landing page for a free relocation guide to your city. Include a headline, benefits, and a call to action. Remember, you always want to make sure that you're including a call to action in anything like this because you want to make it clear what the next steps are. You don't want to say, here's a great relocation guide, and then they get nothing else from you. You want to include that call to action so that if they're ready to pull the trigger, they're going to be able to do it. And then what is really good for this is that retargeting. So make sure that you're figuring out how to do retargeting. Your bonus, ask ChatGPT to generate a freebie and auto write the email opt-in flow. So that's going to be your workflow, your smart plan. They're going to write it for you and you can say, write it in my voice so that it doesn't sound robotic, so that it's not like whatever. You want it to be your voice. But these are really good because this is something that can be lead generating and is something that you do once, you pop it on your website. Every so often you can like post it on your social media, promote it, put it on your stories, put a link to it, and it's always there. It's always ready to go. It's always a good thing to like just keep reminding people like, hey, don't forget, I'm in real estate and here is a great way if you want to move to my city. You don't have to work more to win more listings. You just need systems that scale. And AI is your next assistant, strategist, and content team all in one. I always talk to ChatGPT and I say, okay, you're my business consultant. What should I do? You are my business strategist. You're my real estate advisor. What is it that I need to do to grow my business, to add leads, to do whatever? And then maybe sometimes you say like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not converting. Help me to convert. What can I do that converts better? Maybe it's that you're doing open houses and they're not converting very well. Help me create an open house workflow or smart plan that is going to actually get the leads generated and those leads like bought in and ready to like move forward. Agents under 3 years in the business are adopting AI tools 2 times faster than those with over 10 years experience, according to Real Trends. Now, this is a really positive comment, I think, because this is something that like I talk about all the time. Newer agents feel like, oh my gosh, well, I don't do it as well as those people who've been in the business for 10 years. But this is exactly why newer agents have the upper edge sometimes, is because they adopt things faster. They know the latest technology. They're able to do things in a way that if somebody's been doing this for 10 years and they're stuck in their ways, they're not going to be doing this in the same way or with the same benefit as somebody who's newer to the business and who's actually adopting all these things and putting them into action sooner rather than later. So I highly, highly recommend that you be among those who are adopting these tools 2 times faster than those with more experience. And your bonus, even more ways to use AI. Agent training and system builder, onboarding checklists, SOPs. You guys know I just made the switch to Real, and this was one of the things I used ChatGPT to. I was like, how do I help with my onboarding? How do I get set up as fast as possible? Give me some checklists. Help me with this. These are great ways. And if you are building a team, if you're trying to like figure out what you can do for that, this is a great way for you to help agents get on board quicker and easier. So you want to make sure, oh, Jasmine, thank you. You want to make sure that you're implementing this, because this is one of those things where like this is going to increase your production levels. How about design and staging advice? ChatGPT can create mood boards, room by room suggestions. You can literally take a picture of your room and say, give me suggestions on how to stage this better, on how to give it more of an open, airy feel, on how to make it more modern, on how to make it photo ready for a listing. You can do this for free. You do not need a stager. You don't need all of this. You can get that staging advice. Now, of course, you may still want to bring in a stager, but maybe your client can't afford it. Maybe your client is like, maybe the listing doesn't need it, but it does need some kind of staging. You can have ChatGPT help you with this. Create a marketing series for sellers to get top dollar. So this is a really good one, because I think this is a nice, easy way for you to send like newsletters out to your potential sellers or people who are just homeowners, because you're saying, how do you get top dollar? Well, one of the ways to get top dollar is by doing certain like DIY projects that are going to improve curb appeal or make it so that things look nice or whatever. These are things that you can send to current homeowners to remind them that you're in real estate. So help them improve their property. DIYs are always a good thing, especially in the summertime. So everybody likes to know about DIYs, even if they're renting. So you can send this to your entire SOI, your entire sphere, your entire database. Everybody is going to like this. And then you take that and create a whole marketing series for sellers and direct them to that. You're going to get a lot of people who are interested. Help them help you create smart plans and workflows. I mean, we talked a little bit about this, but this is definitely a great way for you to actually get more productive, is for you to get those smart plans and those workflows in place. So make sure that you're doing that. I hope that helped. And don't forget, we're here live every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join me live to get your questions answered in real time by registering at the link in the description below. Let's keep building, growing, and closing those deals. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with another agent who needs this. You've got this, and I've got you. And I'll see you in the next video.